physiology too much like of the game, just like some aspect to explain to you the idea of what I'm going to speak about is the first part. After I'm going to show you some analyzers that they work with the vert, let's say in Brazil, how they do this to manage the loads. I will show you also some part of the training of Bernardino in CESC to show like the implication of the energetic system inside the training, like because this is something that I know. I was sitting there with the physical coach and how they build the training also to meet the physical aspect of the game. And also I will show you some kind of stuff going to injury prevention and injury analytics of volleyball, like specific for volleyball, that was demonstrated 4 years ago and are today like the only good paper that are about injuries of volleyball, like only volleyball. So, first of all, I want to start by saying that I think maybe in other countries it's a little bit different, but I think that here in all the sports, not only in volleyball, we have a problem of understanding the importance of the physical aspect of games. Volleyball is a non-contact sport, but it's a sport that is really rely on physical abilities. Without the physical ability, you can be the most technical player, you can be amazing brain of the game, but you will not be able to compete with the level of physicality that will be against you. And so this is the starting point should be physicality, and after this, of course, all the technical, tactical, all the kind of stuff. But without the physicality, we will not be able to compete because the other side will have this physical, will have this advantage on us, on a team that is against us. So, in general, I'm not gonna talk too much about this, but we have three energetic systems: anaerobic, alacti, lacti, and aerobic system in the body. Volleyball, the most dominant ones are the anaerobic, alacti and lacti, mostly the alacti, and the aerobic system is there to help us with the recovery, okay, like always. Soon we'll see why it's important. Okay, let's see what is the energetic needs of the volleyball game. This is taken from a review made by the IFBB in 2017 after the 2016 Olympic. They took data from 2004 until 2016 of all the Olympics volleyball games. And I took a few of these. If someone wants the full list, I will send him. It's really interesting in my eyes how the game developed. And we can see, like there is the man, the upper side is the man, the down side is the woman. And we can see that, first of all, an average rally, okay, duration of men and women today, first, is not so different. In the men is almost 7 seconds, the average, and in the woman, 8.25. Okay, so the difference are not so high, but we can also see that the duration is not so long. Okay, soon we'll understand because we talked about the energetic system. Anaerobic is short systems, aerobic is long systems. So we can see already why the anaerobic system is more dominant in the game. We can see also that in total of the game, let's say the 2 hours game, in the men 15% and in the women 21% is rally time, is the time that the ball is in the air. So if we take a game that is 2 hours long, we just need to take 15% or 21% of this as average, and this is the time that we actually play. That we actually need to make some kind of physical work, okay? And also the number, this is like something that for me is really interesting, how it become equal between men and women, the number of 2 and more attack rallies compared to 1 attack rally, okay? If you see from 2006 in the men, it started with 75% of 1 attack rally, okay? And 2010 was already, 2016 was already 52, almost 53. With the women it was different. They took from 2014, but I saw also data from before. It was much less in percentage, 1 attack rally, and become equal to the men. Can mean 2 things. One, tactically, the game changed. physically, for sure, the women become stronger, okay? Or stronger women are playing the game, or there is better conditioning, strength conditioning also in the women's side. And also the men maybe became also more tactical, that they are able to take more defenses. But in general, the game is becoming really, in the physical aspect, the tactical and theoretical, it's your aspect, but becomes really close, okay, during the years.
So you said that the numbers, the men was 75%.
In 2006, 75%.
And now 52% only.
Yeah.
Three blocks, libero getting better, maybe.
You can think about why is in volleyball wise. I know what in the outcome it means for the game. Like in the outcome, it means that the game become sometimes first of all with more rallies because there's more defense. Okay. And in the woman, the need, especially also in the men, but in the woman because it's like this, the need of physicality became much higher. Like I can tell you, Ali here can tell you the best, but I can tell you that I saw women players in Brazil and also in let's say in Lacané, in Volleyball, that for me in the physical aspect, I don't see too much different between them and let's say Israeli men volleyball players sometimes. Okay, they are really strong, they jump really high, and the game become more physical also for the women. And today in the sports science aspect, we don't treat women as men. This is not like, okay, a woman is a man, no, or the opposite. But also we don't train them so different in the physical aspect. It doesn't mean that women cannot work power, strength, explosiveness with heavy weights. Okay, let's say heavy weights, everything is like compared to the person itself, yes, but heavy weights from themselves. There are difference, but let's say that we know today in women that ACL is they are more vulnerable to ACL injuries, especially in volleyball. So this is something we need to take in account, okay, when we make a program of preventing or a program of physical work, okay? But in general, the work is not Venus and Mars, okay? They are really close. Why the energetic is important system? The work-rest ratio in a volleyball game is around between, let's say, 1 to 2 and 1 to 4. Okay, so let's say on every 10 seconds rally, we'll rest around 30 seconds. Okay? And why it's important? Because if we know the energetic systems are the first, like, this is the base, okay, of where we bring energy from. We need to make our trainings, to build our trainings, to structure our trainings to be complied with how the game is played. It means that if I'm a volleyball coach, and I don't have a conditioning coach, I'm a volleyball coach, and I know, and I want today to make some kind of drill that has, of course, like volleyball aspects and everything. We see this in the video from Sesh. I need to take this into account because I cannot come and make a drill for, I can, yes, and I see this a lot, for 1, 2, 3 minutes in a row for the same player. I don't mean like that, like the sets and this one is now working, this one now resting, this happens a lot, but 1, 2, 3 minutes, the same player is doing actions, is setting, is spiking, it's not that it's something will happen to the player, but we are not developing the energetic system that will help him in the end in the game. The word is becoming really specific in sports science. I go to the lectures in the other building for the sports science most of the time, and I can tell you that the resolutions that we look at today, that we check today, are really small. And this is not so small, but it's something that we have to take in account. Because if I'm preparing a drill and I'm not taking into account this, I'm not taking into account how I give my player, my team, the chance to develop this energetic system that in the end will help him to compete in the game. Because I'm sure actually, that if we work with him 3 minutes in a row in one drill, or to take the same drill and work in higher intensity, because you cannot keep for 3 minutes high intensity, highest intensity and break it to sets, to 20 seconds work, 10 seconds rest, 30 seconds work, 40 seconds rest, 1 minute rest, whatever, we will prepare them better. And also the other aspect that the intensity of the drill, I don't talk about the volume, the intensity of the drill and the training will be kept and will be high. And this is important because if we will not keep a high intensity inside the drill or the context of the training, we will not develop this energetic system to the full, which means that we don't reach the full potential of the player in the level of energetic systems. And it's really important. The reason that why we say, let's say for a sprint work, we have to work 100%. If we don't work 100%, there is no reason to do it, because it's not endurance work. It's explosiveness work. We have to stimulate the high motor units, and we have to reach this 100%. If not, we are just working on neutral. Okay, we're not developing the first gear, second gear, third gear, and so on. This is not important for now. This is something I will show you. This is a curve that's called the force velocity curve. Okay, it's there for I think 140 years. Okay, already there was one French scientist that checked it on frogs and saw that when he put more load, okay, this is like for go to the gym area, like strength, but it's also in the court. More load on the player, the speed go down. Less load, the speed go up. It's really logical. Okay, I cannot move 100 kilo in the speed that I move 40 kilo. Okay, but where does a volleyball player need to work? In which area? What is the most important for him to produce what they need to produce to become a good volleyball player, which means to move fast, to make the change of direction fast, to make the first step fast, to jump, and so on. It's not only, by the way, the jumping height, it's also the jumping speed, especially, let's say, with middles, okay, that they need to really react. Today in the fast game that is really becoming faster, they need to react faster, to jump faster, to move faster, not only higher. So usually the sweet spot, is around here. We need to work in an area that we also develop the power, the speed, the strength, and also the speed. Because if we work only here or only here, we're missing the main area that most of the movements happening. Our work in the gym as a conditioning coach is to help the player to move this curve together there. Okay, that if a certain load was in X speed, after the process, the certain load will be in X plus speed. Okay, I give example. In the gym, let's say, we can work maximum strength, which means heavy weight, and we cannot move them fast, but it's an aspect we need to work. Or we can work, let's say, in this area, and we take sub-maximal weight and move them as fast as we can to improve this. We cannot only work here, and we cannot only, let's say here, we can make med ball work, okay? Med ball throw, ballistic work, plyometric work, this area. So we need all the aspects to create a complete player in the end. If we will not do it, we either can create a really strong player, but slow, or really fast player, but not strong enough. So we need to really work around all this area, and it's also connected, we'll not talk about this, but to times inside the season, inside the career also. Let's say when here in the academic, when let's say a young guy or young girl come here, there is no reason to start work or these kind of things before he has some kind of minimality of maximum strength, because everything built on the maximum strength, on the amount of weight you're able to lift or to resist to. And after this, you build all the other stuff, okay? Now, we move because this is a jump analyze from the Brazilian Women League in 2014, if I'm not mistaken. I will show you this and also show you after how they do it in, let's say, in a team that they check the jumps. to explain to you what the player needs to endure in the volleyball game. You can see the percentage of jump of the total jumps that are from blocking, spiking, serving, setting, and spike approach. You can see the jump per minute of a setter, SE is a setter, MB middle blocker, WA is the opposite, RA is the receivers, and the average is the mean. Okay, so jumps per minute, percentage of the jump from each ability in the game. Okay, of course the setter usually jumps for setting. By the way, you see what the middle blocker jump almost, let's say not the most, but one of the biggest is their spike. You can see it.
Approach. He's jumping, but he's not spiking.
Exactly. And
Fake spike. Fake jump.
Yeah, and as you see, they don't put it for no reason. It's part of his job. His job is not only to spike the ball, also to approach spike to help the team in general. But you can see that, let's say we take a jump per set, you can see that the setter, if we take a 4 sets game, a setter is jumping around 100 jumps in a game. Okay.
On the left side,
Mhm.
RA is
A zero.
in the left, back, percent of jump.
Yeah.
The middle blocker, the yellow one is a spike approach. It's jumping but not spiking. But also the right, what is RA? RA?
Here is the Kablani receivers.
Receivers. They are also jumping and not getting the ball.
Yeah, but much less.
But how is it possible?
They took there is
You know why?
analytics.
You know why?
This
So they play so fast, you know, sometimes
Sometimes they go on the
jump
pipe.
pipe or they jump and they don't even get the ball. It's ridiculous.
today.
No, it's not ridiculous, it's happening.
But there is, you see, an amount there, but you cannot compare it with the amount of
Of
the
course.
middle blockers. But of course there is. It's a jumping game. You all the time need to jump, also when you don't get the ball. But we can see that the amount of jumps, let's say 100 for setter per 4 sets in average, of course, okay? 80, 90 is a high amount of jumps. Now, to just like make it a little bit clear, when we'll see the heights of women, one woman that plays in Brazil, but when a player, it's physical, when a player is weighing, let's take this girl that we're gonna see her start, that's 70 kilo, and she jump for 50 centimeters, and she land from there 90 times. You can imagine the load that she have on her body. It's a massive load. You maybe don't understand it, but it's not, she don't absorb 70 kilo. She absorb much less, much more than 70 kilos. I can show you like, there is a formula for this. And if you hear the number, you will get like shocked. They absorb tons of weight.
5 or 7 times, right? The volleyball?
Depends on the height they are from. If you're higher, you absorb more. It depends on where you land from. And this means that today, if we want to keep, and also today there is more games, more tournament, players that play in national teams don't rest. Don't rest. Brazil national team maybe get 1 week in a year, like with the club and everything. The loads are crazy. And also we have more injuries, by the way, today statistically, in all the sports, because the demands are higher, because of TV, because of publicity, because of, I had a conversation with one player, with Logan Tom, that she's saying that today, the IFBB, they don't care about the players, because if they don't care about the players, they don't take their health in account, because she's really against this. As a player, she is a player, she was also a national team player, and she's staying today. For me, it's not logical that they demand of us to do this. I was not a player. You know, who was a player here better than me, what it means to make a full year and to absorb this kind of powers. And this we cannot change because it's the game. But we can change what we do to prepare the player for this in a little bit better way. I will show now let's say, the data from the vert to see how it looks. This one is month 2, week 2, okay, of the training in Sage. Now it was like this summer. I'll explain it to you. Active minutes is the red one. It's in per week, okay. Jumps per week. We talk about sorry, it's not per week, it's per training, but it's like we took all the thing together. So this is the minutes for the training for everyone together, the number of jumps for everyone together, and the jump above 50. Now, in men we look at different. Okay, why above 50 or in the men it's above 70, let's say 75, because of course like it's a little bit different the ability to reach these heights. I can tell you it's not here because I was not allowed to show, but I saw like also the men national team data from Brazil, and I saw in the VNL, and you can see, let's say, we'll talk about loading, but we see Lucarelli's data, and he can jump in a training around 40 jumps above 75 centimeters. It's crazy. It's crazy, and he can do it for 3 days a week, 4 days a week. I mean, like the high jumps trainings, and then he will reach the game. He needs to do it even more. Now, let's say for Lucarelli in this VNL, they took like they say, okay, he jumps like they load. There is one training, suddenly he don't jump. There's one training, he's jumping more. They manage the loads for him to come to the game, because you cannot all the time demand from the player to bring the highest performance he can in every practice, and then come to the game and also bring the highest performance. It's not natural. It's not acceptable to ask something like this unless he's a robot or something. Okay? So this is like how it looks for a team area. A team total, which looks like this. This is the name of the players. Okay? Some of them was still in the national team, so they are not there. Some Kanda was still injured, but you can see the energy. The energy is some kind of formula that is like the watts, like the spec. The how you say spec? Behind the spec.
Output.
Okay, the power output.
This is after the training was taking place or before?
What do you mean after the
This
training?
is
This
the
is the
plan?
summarize. This is the
No,
summarize
this is the
of a week.
plan, or this is the
No, this is the data. This is the data, not the
from
plan.
the training.
This is the data. I will tell you how to do it in the training because you have it like online. But you can see the number of, again, jumps, active minutes, jump, 50 plus. Today we know, by the way, that in the injury prevention side, that there is a level of active minutes per jumps that is acceptable. When the active minute is too low and the jump is too high, we go to more injury risk. When it's more balanced, it's like spread, the jumps spread over time, we are in less risk, okay, in general. So we can see here it's a week, okay, so it's a total of a week. I will tell you after what they do with this, but the most interesting for me is to see one player data. This girl is at position 4, Arieli. Trilogy forces is the gym, so if there's no this, but every like this one training of the week. You can see the active minute, jump over 50. You can see her highest jump in the training. Of course, it's not the reach, yes, it's just like how far she's from the floor. And the average high jump, and of course the energy. Now, all this data, I worked also before in football. So for me, it's not, in football today, the GPS, these are the most, it's like a standard. So I used to do it a lot in football, okay, to take the data, to analyze it, and to bring to the coach here, this is what you need to know. This is a red about this player, maybe we should go down with him. Of course, the data is different because it's with sprints, acceleration, and here it's more about jumps, landing, and braking, and change of direction also. But after you take a week data, the physical coach there with the physiotherapist are looking. I can tell you that it was one player there that was in this time after injury, and they decide that they stop her in an X power expander of the training. She was libero, so it's just more of the movement, not about the jump. But they see she reached X, so they go to her out. Now it's not easy with Bernardino to go take out a player from the practice, but even Bernardino is listening to this. He's coming to the physical coach before the training. He's really like, it's really fast, yes, but he coming, something new, something else. I need to know something like, in the training in post 200, maybe someone needs to come and he maybe yell and scream and curse you also, but he will do it. And for me, it's really important because the cooperation between the condition and physical side and the volleyball coaches is really important, because in the end, me as a conditioning coach, or it doesn't matter who, is giving data or giving, if we don't have data, some kind of professional eye to help the coach to keep the player, and in the end to bring them to the game, to the goal in the best shape. We need to remember, sometimes I think we forget, gym is a mean for a goal, it's not the goal. Practice, even volleyball practice, is a mean for a goal. When you're a professional team that goes to a game with a target to win, or to a tournament, to a target to reach something, the practices are meaning for a goal. They are not the goal. Sometimes we forget it inside the practice, inside the week. And then we feel the players good up, we're gonna press them. Or we feel that they are not good, so we're gonna press them more. Or this kind of stuff. And in the end, we forget that we are here to bring the player, the team, with the best shape, the best condition, the best volleyball level, the best everything for the goal. And we need to plan it sometimes. Because if we don't plan it, it's not a correct science always, but if we don't plan it, we can have a problem. We can get also frustrated as a coaches, and also frustrate our players. And this, I think it's a really, the mental side becomes here really important, okay? So this is like how they work with this. I want to show you also, before I go to the injury stuff, I want to show you some kind of, let's say, of test that we can do also.
Omer,
Yes.
I saw that the girl, 2 times, she didn't jump 100%.
Wait, let's go again.
The second training and the fourth training.
Here she had the biggest load. Also, you see the minutes.
No, but
She didn't reach over
didn't-
50.
She didn't jump.
Over 50.
Not this training. The second one
And the fourth.
fourth.
Probably
So
here.
this was
Probably here and
planned
here.
Planned by the coach.
Yeah, probably here. And here we also saw it, by the way, if you looked at the team, was lower volume, not volume so much, but lower intensity trainings, okay, in these two. Here was, you can see pretty clear that here was, and maybe a little bit, also by the way, you can see that here, it's a short, kind of short training, with a lot of jumps. Also here, here.
But there are no over 50 centimeter jump.
No
Maybe
problem.
she didn't spike.
Yeah, no, she spiked because her average was like 14.53. It's
How
height
do you
of
get-
jump. It's
how-
height of spike.
How do you get a player to jump less when she's spiking?
No, you don't get her to jump less height. No, if it's an average. If she spiked 10 times, 60%, and another 40 times, 30 centimeters, because it was second line like warm up of the practice. So the average will be here, and it will be a lot of jumps.
But the purple column, there is no
Mhm.
purple
Yes.
column.
Yeah,
That means
yeah.
that she didn't.
It wasn't intensity. It wasn't intensive. It wasn't. But it
No, it was not maximum jump.
No, because probably it was second row jumps, or probably it was inside. I will show you the practice and you will see, but probably it was second row,
Okay.
or this kind of
Or
things.
keeping the volume.
Inside, a practice in a week, we have volume, intensity, okay? We can play with both. We
No,
can,
I'm trying to put what you're saying into my point of view as a coach.
Mhm.
Maybe what I understand from this graph, that in this training there was no competition or some kind of drill that she has to jump high and spike, because I don't understand how can you tell a player, okay?
no one tell them.
No.
You cannot tell. You think you can tell a player when you make sprint training to run the 70%, he knows what's 70%.
But if
He knows what is 80%. If you say to him jump, but don't jump too high, he knows what
if
is
you
too high.
if you make a drill, well, keep the ball in the air, don't finish the ball, maybe she's gonna jump.
Exactly, but this was the point. You cannot say to a player, jump less,
I understand.
sprint
I
70%,
understand.
but you can create a drill that will happen, that this will happen. Yeah, I can tell you that there, I had a lot of conversations. I still have in contact with the physical coach, and he tried to make, and he will make, I think this year, some kind of module that he take drills of Bernardino and categorize them to load. And then he can come to him in a week and say, okay, this week, like, we need an X load. Let's choose drills, okay? And then you can build a training. I'm talking about the load and the volume, yes, with the volleyball drills. Okay, it's something, I know it sounds like a lot of work, but it's something that in the higher levels they do all the time.
If you want to succeed.
Yeah, but the point is that you do it with the volleyball stuff, not only with the physical stuff, because some people think that loading is only in the gym, but most of the loads are in the court. To jump in the court so many times is much harder to the joints, to the body, even to the muscle, than to make a total of 16 repetitions of squats in this day. Because if you think about the load sometimes of volleyball players, because we work about explosive, they don't have so many sets in the training, but they have a maximum effort usually. Yes.
The small blue spots, they are the full size gym 2 times.
Yeah. In Brazil, they make every day. This probably just they make every day, even when maybe there was one time that they didn't do, but in general they do every day. Morning, gym, ball, easier, evening, court. Except when they travel, in Brazil the games usually are like sometimes there are 2 in the weekend, so they travel. But in the preseason, or when they play the cups, the league, they every day in the gym. Their gym walks probably, by the way, is totally different than what, let's say, the Americans you see do, okay? Because I come from American sport, and it's totally different. And I had a lot of conversation with the coach there, and he said, I know that in some way I can push them more. But he also said, I know the coach that I work with. And I know that my coach is crazy. And in the court, he's pushing the player hard. And my job, and I will not change him. No one will change Bernardino, for instance, in the age of 60. I will not change him. But I need to adapt to him. So with him, my goal is to keep the player healthy. He knows that he will maybe not improve the jump of the player because he needs to keep them healthy right now. This is the point. And to keep them, I had a conversation with Bernardo and I asked him, you, as a coach, what do you expect of a physical coach or conditioning coach? And he told me, if it's a young player that is developing, or young, like I don't say 16, yeah, but can be 16, 18, 20, 21, that he's developing, push to the limit. I will not say, he even say, I don't care if sometimes she needs to rest because the muscle is a little bit tired for 1-2 weeks, or this. If she will not go out of the comfort zone, if you don't push her, she will never be a player. This is his words. And with the older players, or with the more like, let's say first 6 also players, make them able to finish my practices and recover between. This is what he wants as a coach. Sometimes he can be really like demanding also of the coaches. You know, he's really demanding not only of the players, of the coaches, of himself, of everyone. This is really nice to see the mentality there. Yeah. And the mentality there. Tali was there. Tali played there, so she knows. Like, it's a really. If you are a player that want to develop, players from all over Brazil are willing to get paid less because Sage today are not the most rich. club in Brazil. There is much more richer clubs, but they want to play for Bernardino because he's known for developing players. A lot of players came with like nothing and become national team players or went to Turkey to the big money. Like Gabi is a good example now that she started at 16. 16 in Bernardino. She started to play because, by the way, Logan Tom was injured and was not so wanted to play in this time. And then someone threw her to the water. And she was successful. And this is why today she's only 23, I think, and she's earning, I don't know how much, but a lot of money. But it's something that you need to understand. The trainings there are hard. The girls cry. It's hard, but they respect the process. And they respect that people look at this stuff also. No one will make them injured by like without them doing everything they can to prevent it. Or this, everything is calculated. Of course, it's sports, it's not the actual science, like you can do everything right, you know this, and still get injured. But they do everything they can. When the players, I think it's really important for coaching, when your players know that you do everything for them, they will do everything for you and they will understand the way, the procedure, okay? One more thing I want to show you is, let's say, when we talk about, this is less important for me. This is like just a test, like with one kind of this. I did it like 2 days ago with guys in the academy. Why I want to show this, to show some aspect is really important inside volleyball, also to prevent injury and also to maximize physical aspects, like jumping and change of direction and first step. It's called an RSI index, which is a reactive strength index, okay? And what it do, it takes the jump height in seconds, here it's like in flights, milliseconds, and divide it with the contact time to the ground, okay? Which means, in simple words, you can create, if you have higher score, you can create more power in shorter time, okay? Which is exactly what we need in the end. Now the scores here are really high, okay? Let's say above 3 is elite, okay? Volleyball players has to be there in this area. Of course with women it's a bit less the average, but it's not so different. But volleyball players has to be high because their demands in the sport is to create as much power as they can in the shortest time they can. Because this is the game. The game is really fast. You don't have time to... And the scores, these are really high, above 3. One more thing that it can help us to understand is the condition of our joints. And also for me as a coach, when I see someone perform this jump, I can see what mechanism maybe I can help him, let's say, improve. For instance, the drop jump, by the way, everyone knows. If not, like, let's say you stand on a box. Yeah, sure, let's hope on the nature. Someone stand on the box, okay? And here I drop to the floor as fast as I can. I disconnect from the ground. Okay? This is the drop jump.
It's too high by the...
Yeah, this is a little bit high for a drop jump. It's between 30 and 50 centimeters usually, depends on the player and the level. They did it from 35 centimeters, okay, which is around the average. Now, first of all, it's check how you absorb power, how you absorb all this we talked about, like we are learning a lot how you absorb and how you create. Now, if a player will do this, okay, and let's say will not be able, let's go from down to up, will not be able to keep his ankles stiff, okay? Stiff ankles really important for create energy because we are more firm with the ground, okay? If he's not able to create a firm with the ankle, so we'll see him really like bouncing with the ankle and not strictly hit the floor. This is one. Second, the knees, if he's bending the knees too much, it means he's not able to also absorb from the muscle that is surrounding the knees to create some kind of lock to absorb the power and go high, okay? And the third is the thoracic, is the back, that he can not be able to hold the core, okay? And move from here.
You ask them the maximum jump after the.
I ask them fast as they can. Fast as they can.
As short as.
Yeah, as short time on the ground as they can.
That's what they contact, but it doesn't mean how.
I don't talk with them about the height. I don't talk. Yeah. Of course, if they will, in order to make, let's say, the fastest jumpers you can, you need also to create the most power to the ground. Like it's not, it's together. But it's easier because a lot of times they ask me to jump the highest I can. No, jump fast as you can. And it will create the height that we need to check. I don't care about the height of the jump. I care when I, let's say, compare it to themselves. I want to see what, when you see the end, I have all the data, and I want to see what they improved. Did they improve the ability to create more faster power because they are less time, less milliseconds on the ground, or they not change nothing in the contact with the ground, or even got higher contact in the ground, but really improve the height of their jump. Okay, and there I also can see maybe where I can emphasize more the training. Okay, what they miss.
The force plate you use?
I use a sensor, accelerometer. You can also, it's much more expensive force plate, but yeah. But we can see today the accelerometer and force plate, the correlation is around 0.95 to 0.97. So it's really, if we don't make a research, we need to be like this. So yeah, same. The last thing I want to show you, it's also connected to this. It's about injuries that I really liked when I read it. It's a paper about, I will go with you through this, but it's a paper about sport injuries in volleyball players. There is not, I don't know, some of you don't understand, there is almost no literature about volleyball in the sports science aspect. So everything we get, it's like it's a gem, you know, like. So this one is from 2014, and what is nice here is to see what in the there is like they took few like the highest injuries in volleyball, what we can do as coaches, me or also you. This is the modifiable, and what is not connected to us. This is the non-modifiable. Okay. So let's say, for example, ankle sprain, because you know we a lot of times say, no, ankle sprain is luck. You know, we cannot prevent it. I don't agree. Okay, every injury I think we can not maybe totally prevent, but lower the percentage. We see it also in the literature today. But let's say in ankle sprain, what we can do. So, for example, striking technique with excessive horizontal displacement. Let's say. In other words, it means that when they strike the ground, they are too much leaning forward, they're not able to direct the power vertically, let's say, in a jump. Okay, and then the ligaments need to work an extra load. They need to receive an extra load from my weight and from my movement placement. Okay? The strategy of two-person block. Okay? It's also something that if we teach them better, we can make less mistakes, like stepping on someone on the block, or this kind of stuff. You all agree in this as volleyball coaches, right? We can help in this. And this is something that's physical, lower weight bearing ankle dorsiflexion. It's more in manuals, but it's one kind of ability of the ankle. What we cannot change, previous ankle injury, what happened, we cannot change it. And a lot of other stuff that's connected to the orthopedic of the foot. In patellat, which this word is a short for what all of you know as jumper knee. Okay, like some call it jumper knee, front knee pain, but in the end, it's a problem with the patella tendon. Okay, with the loads of the patella tendon. What we can change with, how we can manage it, especially with young athletes. What can affect it? Large increase in training loads. If we increase the training load too fast, too high, we can create problems. Okay? Lower flexibility in the hamstring, lower flexibility in the quadriceps, less knee flexion upon vertical landing. That means that they don't land, they are not able to make the mechanism of landing. They are, okay, these kind of landings. There's a lot of aspects, I don't go through, but you need to understand, this is stuff we can help with. We can change. And this stuff we cannot. So I don't like what I cannot change. I don't take too much into account. I will be happy always to know it. Let's say age, previous injury, this kind of stuff. I need to know, but I cannot change. I need to take it into account, but I cannot change. This I can change by work, by educating. I give like example. Let's say one girl from the academy, from the woman Tali, okay, Tali Hakas. So she sometimes tell me, yeah, I feel that my left leg is more tight than the right a lot of times, and this and this and this. And I asked her in one training to feel with herself if she mostly land on the left leg, what she do after she land, how she's like, because she's complaining about like tightness, which by the way, that is not an injury. It's like it's okay, but the tightness, let's say in the hamstring, in the upper side of the calves, like near the connection of the tendon, which is connected to the absorbing. Hamstring is really a breaker muscle. And we talked about this. Also, I went to see her and to talk with her. And really we see that she lands all the time on the left one. And she's, especially when she spikes from 4. And she go to the side. And she really fits the mechanism that she explained that she felt. And then I go and I say, try to do this, try to do this. It's educating. Maybe not in the first training, I will talk with her again. The next training, and the next training, and the next training, and the next, and the other coaches will also talk to her, and the next two, because if she is hard for in 200, when in a game, see, they don't see this. In training, I don't say about games. But when we as coaches see the small stuff and give a small comment, in the end will enter. And if we can lower the number of time that she landed on one leg from 40 to 20, you understand we did a big thing in preventing injury for her. Just by educating, just by putting something inside the conscious. This is all we did. One more thing from the research that they show, this is for me as coaches, it's really important, especially with tendons, especially with patella tendon, is managing the loads, like we talked before. They show how should be a tendon load is scheduled for volleyball athletes. You see L is a low tendon load, I'll tell you what is low, and medium and high tendon loads. But you can see that you don't have high, 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 high. You have medium, low, medium, high, low. Okay? A low tendon loads is less jumps, of course, less landings, also from less height if we are just like, let's say, playing games in the back row, this kind of stuff. Medium, we have an intensity of 6 against 6, but maybe it's lower. And high, it's, let's say, a peak exercise that we go to make a full 6 against 6 with a full intensity, but we can also like manage the time. All of this, the managing of the week, of the month, whatever, it's not only affecting, like we talked about, the performance that will come to the game. It's also affecting how healthy they will be in the end of the procedure, in the end of the week, of the month, of the year. Today, we know also that players and systems that keeps these rules more, gives the players opportunities to have a longer careers. A player in the end, today when they are young, they don't understand this. But if it will become their profession and they will earn money from this and this will become their income, they will always want to make their career longer in the end. Because like all of us in our job, we want always to keep our income. We want to be able to bring money to the house. And for athletes, his body is his tool. If the body is overused, is injured, is repeatedly injured, you know, I had one coach that was, I did like, was lecturing, and of course I'm in USA. And he always said like, an injured athlete can be the most amazing player, but he cannot show it. When the athlete is injured, they cannot show their ability, they cannot show the physicality. He can be an amazing athlete, but if he's injured, he cannot show it. So, first of all, they need to be healthy. We cannot prevent everything. We can do everything, I will tell you now, you can do everything correct, and there will still be injuries, but you can reduce in percentage. For example, I'll give you a small example from the world of football, but also I do it inside the world of volleyball, that they found over years research about an exercise called a Nordic curl, okay, which is if you ever saw, someone is in the knee, someone is holding from the back, and you break with the hamstring, okay? It's an eccentric work for the hamstring, okay? Maybe we can argue that there will be other good exercise for the external, but they checked from many articles this drill. And in a meta-analysis, which took 80 articles about this exercise, the average of reducing of injury in hamstring for teams that did this exercise was, let's say, between 35 and 51% reduction of injuries in the hamstring. It's a big number. It's a big number. For a club that needs to pay for injuries, for coaches that need to handle with players that cannot play for them because of injuries, it's big number. And we can do it also, let's say in volleyball, the hamstring is important, but it's not like in football, because of the sprints and breaks, it's more. But in volleyball, we have the knees, we have the ankles, we have the shoulders, okay? We have a lot of things that we can, and we have the tools today to know what to do to help the players. So we need to try to use them. Before I finish, one more small thing it's important for me to say, because I hear it a lot with coaches. We talk about the jump height, that we check the jumps and this kind of stuff, and I show you the RSI, but also I check them the jump. Just for you to know that the variations of the height of the jump, I talk about the height of the jump, because height of the jump is the amount of power that the player has in the moment, and the amount of strength and power that he can produce, can change up to 36% in a day. 18% up, 18% down. Which means if I make a pro jump, and I test the player for a pro jump, in a certain day, is there a pro jump in the certain day? I cannot make any, today we know, I can make for myself, but in general, I cannot make any conclusion about the high of the jump of this player. Because he can be 18% higher or 18% lower. But if I do a measurement, I take a data for a long time, and I take averages, then I can say this player's height is 50 centimeters from standing jump with the hands on this. But I cannot measure once a month or once every 3 months and say he reached 60 centimeters. Because it can be, make the percentage 18% up, 18% down, it can be there. Okay, so it's really important when we check, let's say when I check if my program is working, or if the loads are okay, or maybe we need to go down a little, because sometimes I will see a player that go down in the jump height, and it needs to be a red light for me. I need to check it for a few times, maybe a few hours of the day, or maybe a few days in a row, to make a conclusion, a scientific conclusion. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.